Karachi at midnight has a very different heartbeat, one that hides its secrets in the shadows and whispers them through the salty breeze coming from the Arabian Sea. Maya had always loved the peace of late-night hours, the silence that felt safer than daylight where she had to pretend she was fine. It was 12:15 a.m. when she stepped onto her rooftop in Gulshan, the city lights blinking like tired stars. Her phone buzzed, a message from the one person who understood her without questions. He wasn't like others, he listened when she spoke, and even when she stayed silent, he heard her loudest feelings. She stared at the screen for a moment before replying with just one sentence. "I can't sleep again." Within seconds, her phone rang. His voice sounded like the calm after a storm, deep and steady. "Tell me everything," he said, and she could feel his presence even through the phone. Maya looked up at the night sky, clouds covering the moon like a thin veil, and began talking about her fears, how she felt trapped, how the world seemed to misunderstand her. Arham didn't tell her to be strong. Instead, he said, "You are allowed to feel like this. I'm here." Those words wrapped around her like arms she wished she could feel in real life. She walked to the edge of the rooftop, the cool wind brushing against her hair, making her black dupatta flutter like wings. Her heart had scars, some deeper than she would admit. But
Don't
talking
worry,
to
Maya.
Arham made them ache
I'm
less.
right here with you.
There was
always.
a strange comfort in knowing
I
he
know,
cared,
Arham.
that someone believed she deserved
feel so
softness even in
safe
the
when
middle
you're
of her
near.
storms. As minutes turned into an hour, she laughed softly at something he said, a laugh she hadn't heard from herself in a long time. Arham smiled on the other side of the call, sitting alone in his dim room, leaning against his window facing the empty street. He always stayed awake at night thinking about her, wondering how someone so strong could look so fragile. He imagined her eyes glimmering under the moonlight, full of untold stories. He didn't know when his admiration turned into love, but now every heartbeat whispered her name. A shadowed figure standing dangerously still, hidden behind darkness. The silence suddenly felt heavy. A chill ran down her spine. "Arham, I feel like someone is watching me." Her voice trembled. Arham's tone changed immediately, protective, alert. "Go back inside, Maya. Now." She hesitated, confused by the sudden panic in his voice. His shadow moved. Her breath caught. "Maya, listen to me. Don't look back. Just go." She slowly stepped backward toward the door, heart pounding like a warning drum. Arham stayed on the
Maya,
call, not letting her feel alone for even a
listen to
second.
me.
That night,
You
beneath
have to get
Karachi's
out of
sleepless
there
sky,
now.
something darker awakened, something that would test the strength of a
I'm
love not
coming
yet
for you.
confessed but already real. The next night arrived with the scent of rain and unanswered questions. Maya couldn't shake the memory of the rooftop incident. Karachi was loud and chaotic during the day, but at night its silence became something else, like the city held its breath waiting for something to happen. She tried to distract herself, writing in her diary and listening to her old romantic songs, but every song reminded her of Arham, of his concern, his warmth, his protective voice. When the clock struck midnight, her phone buzzed again. "Arham, are you okay?" She smiled despite the uneasiness lingering in her chest. "Better because you texted," she replied. Seconds later, they were talking again, their midnight routine continuing like destiny demanded it. But this time, Arham was more cautious. He kept asking if all doors were locked, if the windows were secured. Maya teased him, calling him a dramatic hero, but deep down it made her feel safe. Nobody had ever worried about her this much. She sat near her bedroom window, watching raindrops glisten under the streetlights, the city humming quietly like a sleeping beast. "Arham, why do you care so much?" she asked suddenly. Silence on the line. He swallowed hard. "Because you matter to me more than I expected." Maya's heart skipped. She looked at her reflection in the glass eyes that finally held a spark of hope. "I care about you too," she whispered. Just then, her phone beeped, the line cut. She frowned. The screen flashed with an unknown number calling. Cold fear crept through her veins. She didn't answer, but the phone rang again, and again. Arham called back instantly. "Don't pick unknown calls. Promise me." His voice was no longer soft, it was sharp like he was fighting his own fear. Maya nodded even though he couldn't see her. "Is something wrong?" she asked. He hesitated. "I don't want to scare you but..." I think someone is obsessed with you. I've noticed things. Online. Outside your house. Her breath froze. Why didn't you tell me before? Because I didn't want you to feel afraid of your own life, he answered. But now she was afraid. More than she ever had been. The wind howled outside like the city was warning her. She moved away from the window, hugging her knees. Arham, are you sure I'm safe? He didn't respond right away. I will never let anything happen to you, he finally said, voice full of a promise stronger than a vow. She wished he was there beside her. She wished his hand could hold hers. The clock continued ticking, each second echoing the truth. Love was growing silently between them, stronger than fear. But the unknown caller didn't stop. And somewhere in the dark, the shadow returned, this time closer, more desperate, almost hungry for her attention. The third night felt heavier, like the air itself was warning her not to step outside. But curiosity is dangerous, especially when mixed with fear. Maya sat on her rooftop again, this time wrapped in a shawl, her eyes scanning the surroundings. She told herself she just wanted fresh air, but the truth was, she wanted to see if that shadow was real or imagination. Arham's call came exactly at 12:07 a.m. Maya, why do I hear wind? Are you outside? His concern was immediate. Just for a moment, she said quietly. I need to face whatever scared me. Arham exhaled in frustration. You're brave, but bravery doesn't mean standing in front of danger alone. She looked toward the building where she saw the shadow before. Nothing. Maybe I imagined it, she said. As soon as those words left her lips, a voice echoed from behind, you didn't imagine me. Maya froze. Heart hammered. She turned slowly, eyes widening with terror. A tall man, face partially masked, stood only a few steps away. Arham heard the gasp. Maya! What happened? Maya, answer me. She couldn't speak. Her throat locked. The man took one step closer. I've been watching you, every night, he said, voice dripping with obsession. You don't know how long I've waited. Maya stumbled backward, phone slipping from her trembling hands, but call still connected. Arham's voice kept calling her name, desperate, terrified. Stay away. Maya finally screamed. The intruder tilted his head, like her fear was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. You shouldn't talk to him, he hissed. He doesn't deserve you. I do. Maya's breath broke. Tears blurred her vision. She lunged for the door, but the man blocked her path. In his eyes, she saw madness, love twisted into possession. Arham, she cried. I'm coming. Arham shouted back, already running outside his home, not caring about anything except reaching her. Maya tried to fight, pushing against the stranger, but he gripped her wrist painfully. Stop struggling, he roared. She kicked him with every ounce of fear she had left, adrenaline turning into strength. He stumbled, and she raced toward the stairs. The sound of footsteps, his footsteps, chasing her echoed like thunder. Arham was still on the line, yelling instructions. Don't look back. Keep running. I'm close, Maya. She sprinted down the stairs, lungs burning, vision shaking. Lights flickered like the building itself was panicking. When she burst outside onto the street, she finally collapsed. People nearby rushed to her, confused and startled. The stranger didn't follow, maybe the sudden crowd scared him away. Minutes later, Arham arrived, breathless, eyes wild with fear. He knelt beside her, holding her shaking hands, his forehead touching hers. I'm here. I'm here, he whispered over and over. She sobbed into his chest, gripping him like he was the only safe thing left in the world. And he was. That night, the line between love and war blurred. Arham realized he wasn't just protecting her from a stalker, he was fighting for the woman his heart had already chosen. And Maya understood something too. Love isn't always soft. Sometimes love is a shield against darkness, strong, fierce, and willing to run through the streets of Karachi at midnight just to save you. After that night, Maya never spent a single midnight alone. Arham stayed with her, sometimes in person, sometimes through long calls that lasted until dawn. She would wake up trembling from nightmares, and he would be there reminding her she was safe. Her parents didn't know the full story, but they trusted Arham and allowed him to be around more often. He fixed the lock on the rooftop door, installed cameras, and even stood watch on the balcony when she couldn't sleep. He wasn't just a friend anymore, he was her protector, her comfort, her safe place. Weeks passed, and Karachi returned to its usual chaos, buses honking, vendors shouting, seagulls crying above the waves, but Maya found peace in the smallest moments. Arham handing her a cup of chai, Arham smiling at her silly jokes, Arham brushing a stray hair from her face with gentle fingers. But fear still lived in the corners of her mind. Every night, before sleeping, she checked all windows and locked the door twice. She hated that she was scared of the dark she once loved. One evening, as the sun sank into a bloody horizon, Arham took her to Clifton Beach. They sat on the sand, the waves touching their feet like reassurance. Maya watched the sky slowly turn into night. Midnight approaching. "Do you think he's still out there?" she asked quietly. Arham slipped his fingers between hers. "Maybe," he answered honestly. "But he will never come near you again. Not while I breathe." She looked at him, really looked. His eyes weren't afraid, they were determined. "Why do you care so much?" she asked again, softly but bravely this time. Arham turned to her, no running from the truth anymore. "Because I love you, Maya. I love the way you talk, the way you laugh, the way you fight your fears. I love every version of you." Her heart warmed, melting away layers of terror. Tears slipped down her cheeks, not from fear, but from finally feeling loved. "I love you too," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Arham pulled her into his arms, holding her like he would never let go. The sound of waves, the smell of salty air, the moon breaking through clouds, it all felt like a blessing. Midnight came quietly, and for the first time since the nightmare began, Maya wasn't afraid of the dark. She looked up at the stars, no longer blinking like warnings but shining like witnesses to a love that survived fear. Arham kissed her forehead, sealing a promise that he would forever be her shield against every shadow. The stalker was eventually caught, but this story was never about the monster. It was about the hero that love created. Some love starts with a spark. Theirs started with a scream. And yet, it turned into a flame that darkness could never extinguish. Because in Karachi, under a midnight sky, Maya found something stronger than fear. She found a love brave enough to fight the night and win.